When you think of movies, what comes to mind? Popcorn, cinema halls, maybe even 3D glasses. In a past infographic, I represented Nigeria's top earning movies using a popcorn bucket. Because what's a movie without popcorn, right? But in this video, I'm revisiting a similar topic, but with a fresh approach. Instead of reusing the same concept, I'll design something different, something still tied to the movie world, but with its own unique spin. Hi, my name is Winifred and welcome to my channel. Here I take you behind the scenes of my design process, showing how I create simple yet striking visuals. Today I'll be working on an infographic that represents the highest grossing movie franchises as of March 2025 based on data from the numbers. Now, I won't be covering how I source, clean or analyze data. That's a topic plenty of experts have already done justice to. Instead, I'll focus on what I do best, transforming raw numbers into an engaging visual story. Unlike my other infographic process videos where you watched me develop an idea from scratch, this time I already have a concept in mind. I know I want to create something movie related but completely different from my last design. So for this one, I'm going with a movie clapboard, the tool crew members use on set to mark scenes. I feel it naturally lends itself to a chart-like structure, especially since the rectangular sections resemble a tree map chart. Right now, I'm looking at reference images to figure out how best to position the elements in my infographic. I want to see how real-life clapboards are sectioned and arranged so I can adapt them for my design. Since the tree map chart already has a block-based format, it kind of makes sense to integrate it into the clapboard itself. I actually used a tree map chart in my last process video, but that time I transformed it into a 3D object. Here I'm keeping it as a flat 2D design, but superimposing it onto the clapboard. Another thing I know for sure is that I want the clapboard to sit in a clean white studio environment, something simple yet appealing. So I start looking for reference images and find the perfect one almost immediately on Freepik. If you're new to my channel, Freepik is one of my go-to resources for pre-made graphic assets. I mean, it's a huge time saver when you don't want to create every single element from scratch. Once I settle on the image, I download it and move into my workspace. To keep everything organized, I've dropped a few reference images into my workspace so I can always see them as I work. Once that's in place, I'll build a rough outline. This is just basic shapes in neutral colors that help me visualize the layout before adding details. So for this infographic, I'm envisioning the title at the top, the movie clapboard in the center with the data embedded inside it, and short insights beneath to highlight key takeaways. My next step is to create my guide. It's a rectangle with a stroke that ensures all the elements are neatly balanced within my artboard. I'll now bring in the background image I downloaded from Freepik and place it onto my background layer. So I always work with layers because they make designing much more efficient. It's much easier to locate elements, focus on specific areas, and lock layers I'm not working on to avoid mistakes. Finally, I'll add a placeholder for the headline and possibly a brief intro to introduce the infographics theme. I head over to rawgraphs.io to create my chart. Rawgraph is an online chart creation tool that lets you simply copy and paste your data or upload it before selecting from a variety of visualization options. One of my favorite things about this tool is the built-in explanations that help you understand each chart type as you choose. Since I'm working with a tree map, I select that option. I set my chart variables and customize it exactly the way I want. Another great feature of Rawgraphs is that it allows me to download that chart as an SVG file, which is perfect for editing in Adobe Illustrator. Now I paste my treemap chart into my workspace on the appropriate layer, then make a copy of it to clean up unnecessary elements, removing any extra bits that come with the SVG file. So I'm left with just the boxes. Finally, it's time to find the clapboard graphic I'll be using. I head over to Freepik once again. I've been using Freepik since 2018 and it just keeps getting better and better with the quality of graphics, the images, and even videos. For this design, I want a realistic looking clapboard, so I go through a few options until I find one that works. Once I've chosen the clapboard, I bring it into my artboard and position it according to my rough outline to make sure everything is in alignment. Before removing any unnecessary elements from the clapboard graphic, I like the gradient that it uses, so to keep the effect, I'll create a rectangle and apply the same gradient to it. Since I want the clapboard to be larger, I'll close the top part slightly so it doesn't overlap with the placeholder I set for the copy. Then I'll scale the clapboard to the right size that I want. Next, I bring in the 3 insights I want to include in the infographic and place them according to my rough outline. With that in place, it's time to integrate the tree map chart into the clapboard. Right now, I manipulate the tree map's shape to fit inside the clapboard. Then I give it a stroke while removing the fill color for each box. So I clean up the extra strokes that aren't necessary by using the scissors tool. So that is, you can just press C on your keyboard and remove the extra strokes on the tree map chart that I do not need since they already are embedded within the clapboard. The final step in this section is to label the tree map. So since I haven't chosen a font yet, I'll create different paragraph styles for the headline, the body text, the movie titles, and the figures. Using paragraph styles will make it much easier to change the font later once I've made a final decision, as right now this is still a placeholder font. With the chart labeled and the insights added, I think things are starting to take shape. Comparing it to my rough outline, it's definitely coming together, and I don't think it's shabby at all. I'm liking where it's going, but I feel like it could use more movie related elements to frame the redesign and really reinforce the visual narrative. So it's back to Freepik for some realistic movie themed graphics. I scroll through the options and look for elements that complement the infographic. So once I find a graphic I like, I select the key elements that help drive the story. Yes, I download it first and then select the key elements that I want to add into my infographic, adjusting their sizes and positions until I am satisfied. So at this stage, I'm not completely convinced by the placement just yet, but I'll move on and revisit it later. So selecting fonts isn't my favorite task, but it's a crucial one. I need something that fits the overall story I'm trying to tell. So I'll filter through my font collection. Sometimes I start by classification, testing different options until I find one that works. Sometimes I just Google like the expression I want to convey. But right now I'm just going to go through what I have in my font collection. Eventually, I settle on Rock Grotesque Bold because of its strong, presence is really bold and it really stands out. Then to complement it, I choose Man Rope for the body text because I think it has a very clean, modern feel that balances the boldness of the Rock Grotesque nicely. With my font selected, I update the title and figure paragraph styles. And with just one click, everything is updated across the design. At this point, I feel I could leave the infographic as is, and honestly, it looks pretty solid, I guess. But what else can I do with it? Is there another way to expand the story? So those are questions that I like to ask myself before I make a final decision on infographic. So I go back to the data and going through it, I noticed something interesting. So I can add an extra category and categorize the charts based on that. So I've done this earlier, but like more off screen than on screen. So I'm just going to look at the main data that I have and take out the category and add it to this cleaned version. So that's what I'll do, and let's see how it goes. To enhance the infographic, I decided to include the primary genre for each franchise in the data. I also thought, why not add their official logos too? I mean, if it adds to the visual storytelling without overwhelming this design, then why not? I believe the logos will help viewers instantly recognize which franchise I'm referring to, making the data even more intuitive, I think. So I carefully place each franchise logo in its respective section, and once that's done, I move on to the genre classification. So for the labels, the genre labels, I want each one to have a distinct color to help differentiate them at a glance. So I experiment with different color palettes until I find one that blends well with the overall aesthetics. At this point, I step back to assess everything, and while it doesn't look bad, I'm not happy with how the movie elements frame the composition. So I decide to revisit their placement once again. I feel I could leave the infographic as is, but I have a nagging feeling that I could push it a little further, or maybe I should stop here. Who knows? So I try multiple iterations, tweaking placements, adjusting sizes, and refining the details. And finally, I love the result. So I decided to make it more of a central theme as opposed to the left align that I first started with. And looking back at my rough outline, I'll say I didn't stray too far from my original vision. The core structure stayed intact, but I allowed room for creativity by adding supporting graphics where needed. So I think this is a great reminder that you don't have to stick rigidly to a plan. If the data allows for it, use familiar objects to help tell a compelling story. That's the takeaway I think I would like you to have from all this. So, which version do you prefer? Version 1, 2, or 3? Or would you have approached it in a different way? Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, please like, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Right now, I'm posting once a month because recording, editing, and designing takes a tremendous amount of time. And at the moment, I'm a one-woman army handling everything. So your support means the world. Thanks again and have an